Hi, Mariama. Welcome to Actors Making It.
Hello, Danny. Nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to hear all about your acting journey and how you got to where you are now.
Gladly.
Cool. So now you've sent through obviously a bit of information about yourself, which I've had a look through, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I think the first thing that I kind of want to know is why acting? What was the reason behind you, I guess, forging a career in this entertainment world?
I've always had a passion for acting. I believe that it's innate because an ancestor of mine was a famous actor in her day.
Okay,
Yes, so I believe that I have the acting gene and I've been acting on and off from a young age. So it's something that's always been there. I've always loved to do it. I've always had a passion for the craft. So that's
okay.
it. It's something that I love doing.
Oh, okay. And I think on your IMDb you said you kind of started at the age of 3. And when you started at that age, did you kind of see it as a career choice, or was it just something that you enjoyed doing? Well, I mean, 3 is quite a young age, but
Yes, definitely the latter. You know, I wasn't thinking in terms of job, career. Clearly,
of course.
I now know that I was being paid, or rather, my parents were being paid. But at that time, I
Okay,
wasn't thinking, oh, this is what I want to do forever, because, well, I wasn't thinking that far. It was just something that I was doing.
sure. What do you think you know at what point in your life you thought about it as a career and something that you wanted to push forward to?
Yes, twice actually. When I was 10, yes, and also when I turned 14. Those were two periods in my life in which I thought to myself, this is what I see myself doing as an adult for a living.
Okay, sure. And when you thought about that, did you talk to me about, I guess, the plan that you put in place to make that a reality?
When I was, of course, 9 years old, I wrote to Coronation Street, asking if I could, join the cast. They kindly wrote back and told me that they didn't have any roles available for me, which is fair enough. They didn't. And of course, years later, when I was a young teenager, I was enrolled in an amateur dramatics, um, yes, group. I, was going to play a part in a play, but something came up, so I wasn't able to do that. But that was the initiative that I took at that time. And I decided again when I was 20, so 7 years ago, that I wanted to do it properly, acting. So
Okay,
I searched up an agency. It was predominantly a background artists agency, but I signed up with them, and it was through them that I got my first speaking role, which was on ITV's Prey.
okay. And that was how many years after you started with the background agency?
Um, it was only a few months after I'd
Oh,
started with
nice.
them.
Yeah, cool. All right. So when you, I guess, you decided that you wanted to do acting, quote unquote, properly, as you've just said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what does properly mean to you?
Properly, to me, is taking it seriously as a job and later a career. Yes.
Hmm. Okay. Did you have an idea at that time about what you wanted to achieve in acting? Did you have I guess, a thought about what making it meant to you at that point in your life? And what I mean by that is, once I've achieved this thing, then I've made it and I'm a proper actor?
Yes, I did. My idea of that was and is a role in a television soap opera.
Okay. Cool. I guess that kind of segues really well into a way of which you've kind of put yourself out there to get noticed to get that part in soap operas. So you sent me an article about how you, actually, rather than me say, why don't you tell me about the steps that you've taken to try and get noticed in the soap opera world?
Very well. I have advertised myself beginning on social media, following casting directors, emailing them, and in some cases establishing a rapport. But last year I took the quantum leap of, advertising myself on a billboard opposite Emmerdale Studios in Leeds, and also at Media City in Manchester, where Coronation Street is filmed, on the digital 6 sheets. Yes, with my name,
Okay.
my brand, my contact details, and essentially what I want, which is to be cast.
Sure. What led you to, I guess, reach that point of taking, I guess, what some people might consider quite an extreme measure to get noticed by these particular shows? What kind of got you to that point?
Yes, I thought to myself that, acting is a business. Yes, and businesses are, if they're competing, have to offer something, different from the rest. How can I put myself out there, but really put myself out there? I can always do more. So why don't, advertising? And then it hit me, well, billboards are a form of advertising. Are there billboards where the soap operas are filmed? Yes, there are. So why not advertise myself on a billboard at, basically at the studios? And so that's what I did. And I went to the papers about it, and it went from there.
Okay. Was there, I completely agree with you that acting is a business, and I think I'm not sure how many actors actually think about themselves as a business and as a commodity and thinking about marketing themselves in that way. And I understand the idea of wanting to treat yourself as a business and marketing is a good way of doing that. But obviously, as an actor, we go through, I guess, all of the motions of training and auditioning, etc. Was there a reason why you felt you needed to take that kind of step to get noticed more? Do you have an agent at the moment?
No, not at the moment. I did when I
Okay.
advertised myself, but
Okay.
no, I don't have one at the moment.
Sure. So I
Personally,
guess my
I don't
question
think
is,
I
was
need
there?
one,
Okay,
personally,
why is that?
because all the jobs that well, most of the jobs that I have got have been through my, my own initiative. I myself have applied and auditioned, etc. And I've done
Okay.
that myself. It hasn't been a case of previous agents, although they have put me forward for roles. All the roles that I did get whilst I was with them, I myself had put myself forward.
Sure. No, I can definitely empathize with that. I think I'm very much in a similar boat myself. Of majority of the narrative acting that I've done outside of the few commercials has all been off the back of work that I've done. So I can empathize with that. Okay, well, talk to me about, I guess, with the billboards. Did you have the success that you were looking for from that? Did you get, I guess, an audition with either of those
One of them.
productions? Oh, fantastic. So talk to me about how that kind of came about then, or how that kind of transpired. Tell me about the process.
That came to me a few months later out of nowhere. I'd never conversed or communicated with this casting director, but they emailed me telling me that they had an upcoming role in their soap opera. They're not sure yet whether it's going to be ad hoc or regular. That is something that will come up later. Would I like to audition? I said yes, so they sent me the script to learn, which I did. And the following month, I was contacted telling me that I have been shortlisted.
Oh, congratulations. So is that still currently in the process?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. I assume you can't tell me which one of the productions that that
No,
it's for.
not.
That's fine. But that's amazing. I think that's really cool that you put yourself out there on something like that on a billboard, and that has turned into. Did that casting director see your billboard?
Presumably, yes. They haven't said so,
Right.
but
Okay.
I think so, yes.
Sure. Okay, well that's really exciting. Well, there you go. If people want to get noticed, get a billboard out in front of the production companies, and you never know what can happen. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Well, congratulations on being shortlisted for that. So I wish you
Thank you.
all the luck. As you know, over the past few years, self-tapes have become the norm, and they are being used by more and more industry professionals to cast all sorts of productions. I've personally recorded self-tapes for theatre and TV and film and commercials, and it makes life easier for casting as they can see more options. But what isn't easy for us actors is finding someone to read for us in the moment that we need them. That's where We Audition comes in. We Audition is an online video chat community where you can call someone that has marked themselves available and they will read for you for your audition. You can use We Audition to rehearse, film, or just ask questions that may help your audition. Last year I had an actor contact me who had never drank alcohol, who just wanted to know how to play drunk. You can sign up to We Audition to be a reader yourself. I log into We Audition most days and I just leave it on, and people call and I accept, and I help them with their auditions. So you can earn a little extra cash doing that, and you can just meet some great people. I even helped one of the main cast of Morning Wars tape an audition towards the end of last year. Look, it's a great platform, and if you're going to sign up to be a reader, it basically pays for itself. So if you want to sign up to be a reader on We Audition, you can get 25% off using the Actors Making It discount code MAKINGIT. So just go to www.weaudition.com and use the code MAKINGIT when you sign up. So one of the things that your billboard says on there, I think you classify yourself as the Articulate Autistic Actor. So talk to me about your history with living with autism and how that has kind of influenced your acting abilities.
Hmm. I was diagnosed just before my 18th birthday, and it was a very long process. My mother had been telling officials for years that I was on the spectrum, but most people disagreed. They didn't think that I was, but I am. And with regards to acting, if anything, I think that helps me a lot because, in terms of memorization and masking, mimicking, etc., it all ties in. So if anything, I view it as a gift.
Of course, and that's a beautiful way to view it, I think. Do you, now I'm not, I mean, I have friends that are living with autism and on the spectrum that are actors. So I've had some conversations with them, but I'm keen to hear about whether or not, I guess, whether that has meant that you've had to think about things in a different way, or what your experience has been, I guess, as you go through the audition process, whether it has any effect on the way that you deal with, I guess, the rejection or anything like that around the process of trying to make it as an actor?
I'm going to be honest and say yes, it has in the past, but now I'm getting a lot better because I'm,
Okay.
able to reflect and look at and think about things objectively and tell myself that, like it or not, this is part of the process. There are going to be highs and lows. So, stick with it.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about some of the things that you experienced before you learned how to deal with it, and the kind of emotions that you might have experienced?
Meltdowns. I would be crying and screaming and shouting, oh, is it something to do with me? Am I not pretty enough? Or anything that came into my head. But I realised it's not to do with that. If a writer or a casting director has a certain, look in mind, that's what they're going to go for.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing. I think whether somebody is living with autism or not. I think it's I think it's a very common thing that all actors face, because within, I guess, the world of acting, you're not necessarily always going to get loads of auditions, and you're not necessarily always going to get cast in the role. I think, God, I don't know how many auditions I've done versus how many roles I've actually been cast in. So being able to, I guess, compartmentalize your own personal feelings about what you tell yourself, or the story that you create around why you didn't get the part versus what the reality is, which is you weren't right for the part, is, I guess, an important quality and a resilience that I think actors need to be appreciative of. But I think it does take time to get to that point. I mean, you've been acting for a very long time, so it's not unusual that you would have, I guess, experienced those kind of feelings in the beginning. But perhaps you might have experienced them in a different way, or in the way that affected you might have just been a little bit different. Do you have any advice for any other actors that might be starting their journey, or that are looking to get into acting but might be living with autism, and that might be holding them back at the moment? What advice would you give those actors?
My advice would be, don't let it hold you back. If anything, allow it to propel you forward. As cliched as that sounds, it is a fact, because I myself have been there, so I'm speaking from experience. Do what you want to do. There is nobody and nothing stopping you. So, go ahead, and good luck.
Sure. So how, once you said, so 2015 is when you joined the background agency and started your journey as a proper actor.
Yes.
So that's a good, 7 years ago now.
Yes.
What's the journey been like over that 7 years as far as your progression as an actor is concerned? Talk to me about, I don't know if it's, I mean, I assume it's similar over there in the UK as what it is here. I mean, acting it's not a linear journey, but I guess for a lot of people, they feel like they have to achieve certain rungs on the ladder before you get to a certain point. So keen to hear about what your kind of journey has been like, and what your experience has been over the last 7 years.
Well, over the last 7 years, I've done a lot of travelling, including living abroad for over 18 months. So it hasn't been a case of, because up until recently, when I was self-castigating, I would say, oh, but I've been doing this for 7 years and I'm still not yet where I want to be. But, I've been able to, self-reflect and be objective and say, well, actually, I haven't been doing it consistently for 7 years, because, as I've said, I've done a lot of travelling. And before, in fact, it's only up until February last year, it's only since February last year that I've been applying for jobs consistently, i.e. every day, and setting up profiles on the main casting sites such as Mandy and Backstage, yes, but before I used to just sit around thinking, oh, I've emailed a few people, they should email me back. I don't need to do much else. I'll just sit around and wait for it to happen. But
Right.
no, if the mountain
Yeah.
won't come to Muhammad.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? I mean, I guess so many people take the attitude of, well, I've got an agent, they're doing the job for me, so I'll wait for the phone to call. So it's great that you've, I guess, taken that or come to that realization that, you unfortunately your career is in your hands,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. Do you, just out of curiosity, do you work outside of acting, or do you focus on acting full time?
Yes, I focus on acting, and after that, modelling. I've also,
Okay,
done modelling jobs, and at the moment I'm writing my own screenplay.
amazing.
Yes, but outside of that, no, I'm simply a lady of leisure.
That does sound like the life. Um, were you working before February last year, or like when you were traveling, etc., to bring cash in to support your acting career?
No.
Okay. Oh, cool. That's if you can, then great.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's
what's
something else I
the
consider. I consider myself fortunate that I don't have to, you know, get a regular job while I wait. I should,
Mhm.
I'm grateful for that. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't need to complain.
So with applying to different roles every day, as you said before, you mentioned Mandy and Backstage. Do you feel that with your efforts, I mean, obviously, it's great a casting director has contacted you in regards to either Emmerdale or Coronation Street, which is great. Do you feel that you're getting, or that you have the opportunity to submit yourself forward for other big opportunities and soaps? Do they make their way to Mandy and Spotlight um, and Backstage without having an agent
Not that
behind
I've
you?
noticed. I know that feature films and TV series, such as, those that will be streamed on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Hulu, maybe even Netflix, I've seen casting calls on Spotlight and uh, Backstage and maybe Mandy, yes, but no,
Hmm.
not for soap operas. I would imagine that, they probably go to agents for those mostly,
Yeah,
but
sure.
in this case,
Okay.
I was contacted directly and even asked, do you have an agent? If not, you know, we'll contact you.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, obviously, it's working out for you at the moment, which is great. Um, so, what about from a education perspective and training? What's your journey been like as far as your acting training is concerned?
I have trained my agency, the last one I was at, also had, well, it was an acting school with an agency
Okay.
attached. So all students were part of the agency. That's how it worked. Yes, I was studying the Trinity method acting. So, yes,
Okay.
I do have training under my belt, and I intend to continue to train. At the moment, I'm considering other acting schools. I don't think, personally, for me, that a drama school, i.e., a full time drama school, is necessary, but,
Hmm.
acting schools, I, I am looking at.
Sure. I mean, different people learn in different ways,
They
right?
do,
And I
yeah.
mean, I know for me, I never went to a drama school. For a year and a half, went to Salford University to study performing arts, but I just um, I didn't enjoy the studying element. Whereas though, over the last 5 years here in Australia, I've done regular scene work and learned different methods and frameworks, etc., which I think has been more beneficial for me to invest my time and my money into, because it's an expensive gig trying to make it as an actor. So I don't necessarily. I think I'm on the same page as you. I don't think necessarily that like a formal drama school or full-time degree is necessarily necessary. But again, to each their own. I know that in the UK, it's going to university straight out of college is kind of a big thing and a rite of passage. So a lot of people do go down the drama school route
Yes.
initially, because it's the what's the word? It's the standard thing to do in the UK.
Yes,
It's like go to
expected.
university because it's your opportunity to move out of home and be away from the parents.
Yes.
So yeah, what have you built? You mentioned that you're writing a screenplay at the moment. Is that a short film or a feature film? What's the
It's
plan there?
it's going to be a mini series. Yes, it's
Okay,
too long to be a feature film, and that's how I've written it, as a mini series. I have 95% of it written down, so right now I'm just in the
okay,
process of editing and trimming, etc. There's no rush.
okay. No, I mean, no, of course not. What's the? I find it really admirable when people reach the point in their career where they decide that it's time to kind of make their own work. Do you see yourself acting in that, or being more of a writer, director,
Um,
producer?
writer, first and
Okay,
foremost. I hadn't really considered that, whether I would star in it or not, but if I were, it would probably be a minor role,
okay.
given the,
So what's the
context.
sure? What's the plan for your series then? Is it a write it and then try and pitch it, or like have you got a
Yes,
kind of
well,
plan of attack of what you're
because
trying to achieve?
it's based on a true story. I'm going to be First of all, I'm going to have it copyrighted. Then I'm going to get in touch with people who are connected to the story, even if not to ask their permission, just to inform them that this is what I'm doing, and
Okay,
just out of courtesy. And then I'm going to pitch it and submit it.
okay. Do you just focus on film and TV at the moment, as far as your own acting is concerned, or do you still do theatre productions as well?
TV and film. I may consider theatre at a later date.
Okay.
Mm.
And when it comes to the type of stuff that you're working on, given that you're 100% focused on acting and sometimes modeling, are you at the moment the acting gigs that you're getting, are they paid or are they unpaid?
They're all paid now.
Okay, that's
Yes,
amazing.
last year when I started acting consistently, I took a few unpaid jobs for, credits and showreel material, and that was very beneficial. But now I only apply and, go for paid roles.
Paid stuff. Nice. Have you kept any kind of statistics on how much you apply for versus how much you audition for and how much you're cast in?
Yes, I do. I apply for at least 10 jobs a day.
Okay. And what's the kind of conversion rates that you have at the moment of applied to audition to cast?
Yes, audition. Well, again, that varies. For instance, I've had three self-tape. I had three self-tape requests last week. They've been
Okay,
submitted. Yes, and the week before that I had one. The week before that I had none. So it's impossible to quantify.
sure. And are these all kind of based locally, or do you apply to stuff throughout the country?
Throughout the country, even abroad.
Okay, that's cool. I guess the UK is relatively small, so it's not as difficult to get around if work comes up?
No, it's, fairly easy.
Whereas though I live in Australia, and getting to somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne is no easy feat without paying a lot of money on a flight.
I can imagine, yes.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it sounds like you're doing really well considering. Considering sounds like a bad like it's a bad thing, but I think when we're starting out as actors, we're very much live in a world where we're made to believe that we're not going to get anywhere unless we've got an agent, and like an agent is the holy grail of being able to make it as an actor.
Yes.
And you seem to be doing really well in spite of that kind of standard idea for acting, which is really admirable and really exciting for you by the sounds of it.
It is. I enjoy it. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy, attending auditions and even, being rejected. It's part of the adventure. That's how I view it now.
Well, now that you've learned how to deal with the rejection, then
yes,
they're not as difficult. Well, that sounds great. Well, look, I mean, it sounds like you're doing really well at the moment, Mariama, and I wish you all the success. I hope that we get to see you on Emmerdale or Coronation Street at some point in the future. So I'll be keen to hear what the result is of that, given you've been shortlisted for one of them. So all the best with that. And, thank you so much for having a chat with me today on the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you as well, Danny.
You too.
Thank you.
Enjoy your week, and good luck with all the auditions that are obviously streaming through.
Thank you. Same to you.